snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys! So I am here today to do some book reviews for you. I'm going to be reviewing two non-fiction books today, which I don't often read, but I have been really enjoying reading recently. The first of them is The Art of Asking, which is by Amanda Palmer. You may know her as a part of the Dresden Dolls, or potentially as the wife of Neil Gaiman. I knew her through Neil Gaiman, I didn't know her through her band, but the book itself deals a lot with her band, so you could know her from either of those places or just some of the stunts that she has done, because she's a pretty crazy lady in a great way. The other book that I'm going to be talking to you about is In Order to Live, which is by Yeonmi Park. I loved this book. I did it as a buddy read with Eleanor from Eleanor Reads Books and Chelsea from The Reading Outlaw, whose links I will put below. We all fell in love with this book. It is incredible, such a story, such emotion, and it's about her and her life as she was in North Korea and how she escaped from North Korea and everything that happened along the way to her and her mother. Let's start with The Art of Asking. This one I actually listened to the audiobook because I had been recommended to do this by Jen from Jen Campbell and a couple of other people. Again, I'll link her below. She said that the best way to kind of consume this was in audio format, because not only do we get Amanda Palmer herself reading it, but we also get snippets from her songs when she was part of the Dresden Dolls intertwined in the actual narration, and she's just really great as a narrator. Like, she really puts the emotion across well, and I really enjoyed her as a narrator. With all that said, this is basically a story about trying to explain crowdfunding and trying to explain Amanda's life and how she has used things like crowdfunding to kind of help her and help her out of situations where she didn't really have a lot of hope. She didn't really know what she was going to do. It's a really interesting and quite beautiful, poignant story at moments. I do think that a lot of people I know have said this has kind of changed their life, or it's been revolutionary for them. It wasn't like that for me. I mean, I'm a creative person already, and I know when to ask for help from people. If I'm stuck, I'm not the sort of person who's so stubborn I won't ask for help, so it really wasn't a big life-changing thing for me, but I did think that it was interesting to learn about Amanda and her life, because she's had a very interesting life. She's worked as a statue, one of those moving statues on the street, and I think that that's just a really, really interesting profession for anyone to have. So reading about her days doing that was really interesting, and I very much enjoyed that she was kind of putting her spin on everything and showing us through her mind how her mind works when people would come up to her and talk to her and things like that, and I really enjoyed that. But for me, it was just the story of her life, and that's pretty much all it was for me. It was interesting, it was kind of really cool, and I don't know how you can necessarily rate her life, but for me it was just that. It wasn't a 5-star amazing mind-blowing book, it was just her life story, which was a very, very interesting one, but didn't like blow my mind. So I ended up giving that one a 4 out of 5 stars, and I would highly recommend that you guys check out the audio version if you're going to be reading or listening to it, because it definitely adds more than I think the book could. Then moving on to In Order to Live by Yeonmi Park. I was actually sent this by Penguin because I requested it, and I'm so happy that I did, because I'd never heard of her before, but I heard a few people starting to talk about her, and I thought that sounded really, really interesting, because I honestly knew next to nothing about North Korea before reading this, and this book was eye-opening, massively eye-opening, and really, really, really heart-wrenching at times as well. It's basically divided into 3 parts. So you have the first part, which is where she talks about her life within North Korea, being part of the regime, and how she and everyone that she lived with and knew was basically in love with the guy who rules over their country. They all thought that he was basically a god, a saint. He could do no wrong in their eyes. North Korea is very, very cut off from the rest of the world. Not a lot of people have telephones or cell phones. They can't really get them over there, and they don't have a lot of Western media either, like TV shows or anything like that. Everything that is Western influenced has to be smuggled into the country through illegal activities, and illegal activities can get you thrown into jail for the rest of your life, into concentration camps and all sorts of horrible things. So it was devastating to hear about these sorts of things going on in North Korea still, and the fact that people are subjected to such terrible conditions of living and working and just not happy, not a nice place at all. The second part then deals with how she and her mother escaped from North Korea, and it talks about their voyage through China and into South Korea where they finally ended up. I'm not going to go into much of what happens there because I think you guys need to read this. It is one of those books I think everyone should read, but it was heart-wrenching to read about. But the third part was the most tragic and horrendous because that really, really put everything else into perspective, kind of gave you that emotional kick that the first two parts hadn't necessarily had. I think the first two parts feel quite detached and you're kind of reading them thinking, God, this is really horrible, this is really tragic, but it doesn't hit you until the third part. And then the third part, I was crying, Chelsea and Eleanor were crying. It was intense, guys. It's really, really a hard-hitting, sad novel of her life, and when you consider that this isn't fiction, it's non-fiction, it's something that someone has had to live through, it's so emotional and it really, really does hit you hard. That one was incredible and I was emotionally hit by that, so I could not give it any less than a 5 out of 5 stars. I then watched Yeonmi's speech at the One World convention, so I'll put a link to that below because I think, again, she's an excellent speaker and it was so emotional to watch her reading out that speech. So again, I'll put a link to that, but I will 100% say that you should all pick this up. It is a really short book. I think it's like 300 pages, so it's really, really short. And it's a very, very quick read as well. I think I got through it in like a night. It's incredible, guys. You need to read this. If you don't know anything about North Korea and you want to, pick this one up. It's excellent. And I cannot wait to read some more about North Korea and continue to educate myself because it's something that is so remote, it's so cut off that we kind of don't think it's an ongoing problem, but it really, really is. And Yeonmi's story is helping people to understand what it's like to be a defector from North Korea, so definitely pick that one up. That would be my advice. Thank you all for watching. Do let me know your thoughts if you have been reading any good non-fiction recently, or if you've read any of the two that I just mentioned. Let me know that as well. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye! Me and you gonna have a little chat.